Shelters across Ohio are now receiving funding from the state to help them keep serving victims of domestic violence. Nearly $1 million was approved in last summer's budget, and the Attorney General's office is bringing it to shelters now at a time when it is so desperately needed. News 5's Olivia Fecto is with us now. Olivia, shelters say this is going to help them keep their facilities safe and clean.
Yeah, good evening, Rob. They say it is crucial for shelters during this time. The CEO of one shelter told me that when these restrictions are lifted, they're expecting a surge in domestic violence calls.
We know there's been less domestic violence reports, but we believe there's been more domestic violence.
Terry Heckman is the CEO of the Battered Women's Shelter of Summit and Medina counties, and it's among the 48 shelters receiving nearly $18,000 each in funding from the state of Ohio.
All of the shelters are just 1 inch away from the same thing that nursing homes are facing.
Heckman says congregate living facilities need PPE and funds to keep shelters as clean as possible. With no room for social distancing, she says that's critical.
This money is really going to help us keep those people safe, keep our shelter environments clean, and do the extra things that we usually can't do with our normal budgets.
What it means is, for the first time ever, our programs have money that they can count on, we hope, year after year after year.
Mary O'Doherty is the executive director of the Ohio Domestic Violence Network, which will get 10% of the $950,000 in funding. She's grateful and says shelters desperately need this money, but it's not enough.
It's hard to run a domestic violence shelter any day of the week. It's really hard right now.
This money helps support the roof over your head, if you will as the programming that goes into helping people get their lives back together again.
Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost says his office will keep advocating for more money in the budget going forward. He urges those in domestic violence situations to call for help.
You do not have to live with violence in your own home. It is not your fault. And there's help. There's a way out.
And if you are in a domestic violence situation, we have information and resources posted on the News 5 app about who you can call for help. Rob?
Olivia, I have to ask, after the news that came out of Columbus today, are shelters concerned about the budget cuts announced by the governor?
Yeah, the Ohio Domestic Violence Network says it is a little worried about this, but the executive director says when you look at the amount of money allocated to domestic violence shelters and compare that with the overall budget, she says the amount of money is really quite small, and she's hopeful that lawmakers and the governor will understand why it's needed.